The latest Korean horror movie of 2025, Poem Curse Strikes, takes horror to another level. The film not only breaks away from the usual zombie movie formula, but also perfectly blends mystery, sacrifice, and supernatural terror. Rumor has it that when it was released, it was so frightening that some viewers couldn't handle it, and the ending delivers a shocking twist that no one sees coming. The story centers around a strange young girl named Xiao Mei. She was still very young and had an ordinary appearance, but many things happened around her that even science could not explain. One day, the boy she secretly liked rejected her confession. She stared at him with pure hatred, as if she were cursing him to die. Unexpectedly, after school that same day, a car suddenly lost control and sped straight toward the boy. The impact left him horribly mangled. From that moment on, one strange event after another began to happen. In just a few days, as many as 5 students died one after another. One of them even jumped into a river and drowned. People claimed that even making eye contact with Xiao Mei would send chills down their spine. The rumors spread everywhere. Everyone talked about her behind her back. They said Xiao Mei was a witch. Some even called her Satan's daughter. Her mother became so terrified that she believed her daughter would only bring disaster to the world. She decided to end both their lives in a car crash, but when the vehicle flipped over, her mother was left horribly disfigured. Xiao Mei, however, crawled out without a single injury. Years passed. More than a decade later, Xiao Mei had become a professional dancer. Ever since the accident that killed her mother years ago, the strange events surrounding her had gradually disappeared. The terrifying memories of her past had faded away like a nightmare. She had completely forgotten them, but the power that had been dormant inside her for more than 10 years was about to awaken again because of a special filming project. One day, she followed a famous director to an abandoned school. The place was extremely remote. Aside from the film crew, there was not another person in sight. Still, a job was a job. Just thinking about how 2 hours of filming could earn her more money than 2.5 years of regular work was enough to convince her to stay. As she walked through the school, she suddenly heard the sound of strange wind chimes. Oddly enough, it seemed that only Xiao Mei could hear them. Fortunately, the figure she noticed turned out to be nothing more than a mannequin. Otherwise, she might have been scared to death. After calming herself down, she headed to the rooftop to begin filming. To improve the quality of the video, the director asked a crew member to go to the control room and replace a ventilation fan. But the moment the woman arrived, the eerie wind chime sound reached her ears again. At the same time, a shadow flashed past behind her. She quickly turned around. There was nothing there, yet the strange wind chime sound continued to echo around her. It seemed to be coming from somewhere deeper inside. Driven by curiosity, the woman gathered her courage and walked toward the source. The farther she went, the stranger the atmosphere became. Then she noticed a large section of bizarre symbols covering the wall. As she looked ahead, something caught her attention. Meanwhile, Xiao Mei had already started dancing on the rooftop, but although it was supposed to be a dance performance, every movement she made was filled with an unsettling and unexplainable sense of dread. As the dance partner's movements became more twisted and unnatural, Xiao Mei suddenly started to lose focus. She slowly walked toward the edge of the rooftop without realizing it. Then she stood there expressionlessly. She spread her arms and jumped. But in the very next moment, everything returned to normal. That was close. It turned out everything that had just happened was only a hallucination. After a crew member calmed Xiao Mei down, he stood up and accidentally noticed something strange. In such a deserted place, 4 mysterious people had appeared on the rooftop of the neighboring building. They wandered around while drawing strange symbols on the ground. It looked like they were performing some kind of ritual. The symbols were exactly the same as the ones the woman had discovered earlier in the control room. Since she still had not returned, the director sent another man to look for her. But as soon as he arrived, a light suddenly flashed behind him. Confused, he walked over to investigate. He quickly discovered the woman the director had sent him to find. For some reason, something seemed terribly wrong with her. She leaned against the wall for support. Her entire body trembled uncontrollably. She said she felt freezing cold. Eventually, she collapsed into the man's arms. Then, in the next second, everything changed. In only a few moments, she stabbed him over and over again. His body was left covered with holes. After killing him, she pushed open the stairwell door without any expression on her face. Covered in blood, she walked out in front of everyone. The group was instantly horrified. They rushed to ask what had happened, but the woman said nothing. Like a walking corpse, she slowly headed toward the rooftop. When she reached the edge, she turned around and glared viciously at Xiao Mei. Then she climbed over the ledge. A second later, she jumped. She crashed onto the ground below and was reduced to a mangled pile of flesh. The horrifying sight left Xiao Mei trembling with fear. Everyone else panicked as well. None of them could believe that a normal filming session had suddenly turned into a nightmare. While they were still trying to process what had happened, they made another shocking discovery. The woman who had just died was moving again. Her broken body twisted as she slowly got back up. She had completely turned into a zombie. Without hesitation, she lunged at a man and bit into his neck. She tore a chunk of flesh straight from his throat. Blood sprayed everywhere. The people on the rooftop were frozen in terror. They immediately tried calling for help, but the school was too remote. There was no signal on their phones. They had no way to contact the outside world. Everyone was terrified and had no idea what to do. Everyone except one person. The director remained strangely calm. Then, while nobody was paying attention, he grabbed his bag and quietly left. The others shouted at him and demanded answers, but he completely ignored them. At that moment, everyone realized something was seriously wrong. They hurried after him. Before the situation became even worse, they decided to escape this cursed place immediately. But as soon as they entered the stairwell, they noticed something unexpected. A surveillance camera was hanging from the ceiling, and it was still operating. The group was confused. This school had been abandoned for years. Why would there be a working camera here? Was someone secretly watching them? Before they could figure it out, a loud crash suddenly echoed from above. Afraid of running into more danger, they rushed downstairs. When they reached another hallway, they made a terrifying discovery. The man who had been stabbed to death earlier was standing there. He looked completely insane. The group was so frightened that they quickly slammed the door shut and locked it. They barely escaped. As the violent pounding continued on the other side of the door, they finally understood what was happening. All of those crew members had mutated, and if they did not find a way out soon, sooner or later they would become food for the zombies. The group immediately rushed to the first floor, hoping to escape this nightmare. But just as they were about to leave the school, they discovered that the hallway had been completely blocked. The only way out was to climb through a narrow gap above the obstruction. Lao Wang was strong and fearless. Without hesitation, he used all his strength to climb onto the metal crates. The others followed behind him one after another. But as they looked ahead, a zombie suddenly spotted the director. It was like a predator catching the scent of prey. The creature charged forward and tore into the director. The director's horrifying screams echoed throughout the hallway. Everyone was terrified, but survival came first. They could not worry about the director anymore. The group hurried over the metal crates and ran for the exit. They thought they had finally escaped. After a dangerous run through the area, the 4 survivors made another terrible discovery. The path they had used to enter was now sealed shut by a large iron gate. The heavyset man tried to climb over it, but in the next second, disaster struck. A zombie that had been chained up nearby suddenly attacked. The group watched in horror as the creature tore into the heavyset man. The sight left them completely panicked. With no way to help him, they turned around and ran. They had to find another route. While escaping, the timid woman accidentally tripped and fell to the ground. She desperately called for help, but Xiaomei kept running as if she could not hear her. By the time Xiaomei and Lao Wang reached their vehicle, Xiaomei finally realized they had lost her, but it was too late. At that point, they could only think about saving themselves. Lao Wang immediately started the engine. He slammed on the gas and sped away with Xiaomei. But they had not gone very far when a masked man carrying a shotgun suddenly appeared in front of them. Without warning, he pulled the trigger. Lao Wang was hit instantly. His face was destroyed by the blast. Xiaomei was horrified, but she knew she had to survive. She used Lao Wang's blood as bait. While the zombies were distracted by his body, she quickly escaped from the vehicle. She ran to a nearby corner and hid, but then she accidentally stepped on something. The noise immediately caught the attention of a zombie. Seeing the danger, Xiaomei carefully slipped inside a building. She held her breath and stayed perfectly still. She was terrified that the zombie would catch her scent. Just when her life seemed to be hanging by a thread, a strange sound suddenly came over the school's loudspeaker system. The moment the zombies heard it, they reacted as if they had been stimulated by something. They all rushed toward the source of the sound. Watching this happen, Xiaomei was completely confused. Then she suddenly heard footsteps behind her. To her surprise, the director was still alive. The zombie attack had not killed her. She had managed to push the creatures away and hide. But seeing how calm the director seemed after everything that had happened made Xiaomei suspicious. After all the horror she had just witnessed, no normal person should be acting this relaxed. She began to wonder if the director knew something. Unable to hold back her questions any longer, Xiaomei repeatedly pressed her for answers. At last, the director revealed the truth. The dance Xiaomei had performed that afternoon was actually a ritual dance used to summon spirits. Several days before filming began, an elderly woman had approached the director. The woman provided her with a collection of documents. She wanted the director to follow the instructions and film a dance project connected to the dead. At first, the director felt uncomfortable about it. She planned to refuse, but then the woman offered 10 times the normal payment. The director immediately changed her mind, and that decision had led to everything that followed. What she never expected was that the ritual really worked. The dance had truly summoned spirits. The dead people who became zombies were not ordinary undead. Their bodies had been possessed by those spirits. Now that everything had turned into a disaster, the director deeply regretted her greed. She never should have accepted the project just for the money, but no matter how much she regretted it now, at this point, regret could not change anything. The director knew there was only one thing left to do. She had to get Xiaomei out of this place alive. Only then could she live with her conscience. But just as she reached for the door, something unexpected happened. A gunshot rang out. The director was killed instantly with a shot to the head. As Xiaomei stared in shock, several police officers entered the room. Standing outside was a powerful gang leader. Only then did Xiaomei finally understand. This entire area belonged to a criminal organization. She was about to get dragged into something far bigger than a zombie outbreak. Fortunately, before things got worse, one of the officers discovered the mutated Lao Wang inside a vehicle. The sudden chaos created an opportunity. Xiaomei immediately escaped. During her flight, she unexpectedly ran into the timid woman who had somehow survived. The two reunited and continued their escape together. They ran through a forest filled with zombies and eventually reached a nearby gas station. For the first time in a long while, they were finally able to relax. While they rested, the timid woman kindly handed Xiaomei a bottle of water. Xiaomei drank it without hesitation, but only seconds later, she suddenly lost consciousness. A short time passed. When Xiaomei finally opened her eyes, she saw a strange red light shining on her. Her arms and legs would not move. She was trapped inside an unfamiliar room. Standing before her were several men dressed in black. They wore masks and carried shotguns. Not a single one of them spoke. They simply stood there, there, staring at her as if they were passing judgment on a demon. Terrified, Xiaomei immediately begged for mercy. She pleaded with them over and over to spare her life, but the men ignored her. One of them silently walked forward with a shotgun. Then he fired directly into her chest. The pain was unbearable. But after a brief moment of dizziness, something impossible happened. Xiaomei suddenly sat upright. The wound in her chest began healing at a visible speed. As the injury disappeared, long-buried memories flooded back into her mind. She remembered everything. She remembered that she had once been a witch, the boy she cursed to death, the innocent classmates who died because of her powers, even her own mother, who had lost her life in that car accident because of the curse surrounding her. At that moment, Xiaomei finally recognized the person behind everything. The woman standing before her was the mother of the boy who had died years ago, the director's filming project, the spirits, the zombie outbreak. Everything that had happened was part of her plan. She had orchestrated it all. Her goal was simple. She wanted revenge for her son's death. Even the timid woman who had given Xiaomei the bottle of water was one of the victim's family members. From the very beginning, the two had secretly worked together. Their plan was to slowly torture the witch responsible for their suffering until she finally died. After learning the truth, Xiaomei was genuinely terrified. Her entire body shook as she begged for mercy. She pleaded with Aunt May to spare her life, but no amount of begging could erase more than a decade of grief and pain. In the end, Aunt May ordered her men to bring in a speaker. Inside, it was a recording containing the spell used to summon spirits. After everyone left the room, the chant echoed throughout the hall. Outside, countless spirit-possessed zombies reacted immediately. Like a raging flood, they rushed toward the building. The final judgment of a grieving mother against a demon had begun. Soon the room was filled with horrifying screams. Xiaomei was overwhelmed by countless blood-soaked jaws. At last, she was torn apart and killed. Having finally avenged her son, Aunt May chose to end the ritual once and for all. She sacrificed her own life on the rooftop. With her death, everything seemed to be over. Afterward, the timid woman became the only survivor. She had successfully avenged her loved ones, and she had escaped the spirit ritual unharmed. It seemed like the perfect ending. Justice had finally been served. But while she was enjoying her victory, she suddenly felt as though someone was watching her. She slowly turned toward a mirror. To her shock, Xiaomei's reflection appeared inside it. Yet instead of feeling afraid, the timid woman revealed a strange smile. And that is when the movie delivers its final shocking twist. It turns out that after drinking the water, Xiaomei did not immediately pass out. Instead, she sensed that something was wrong. The demonic consciousness within her had already begun to awaken. Realizing that someone was trying to kill her, she secretly acted first. She transferred her own soul into the timid woman's body. Then she placed the timid woman's soul inside her own body. Aunt May believed she had finally killed Xiaomei. She believed she had achieved her revenge. But in reality, the person who died was the timid woman's soul trapped inside Xiaomei's body. The real Xiaomei survived. Using the timid woman's body as a disguise, she escaped flawlessly. She had completely fooled everyone. And just like that, the true witch walked away.